also put my timer on because otherwise I talk for 5 hours. It's not the first time because I like to talk so many things about Asian hornets. There's so much things to say. If you see the title, The Spread of Yellow-legged Asian Hornets in Europe and the UK, I don't say yellow-legged, I only say Asian hornets, and there's only one slide about the UK. That's because, I'm sorry.
This reflects your attitude.
Yeah. So,
it'll change when we come back into Brexit.
Yeah, but I will tell a lot of the UK as well, but there's only one slide about it. So, how did it all start? I think you already know. It started with one nest in 2004 in Bordeaux in France, and the spread of the hornets are approximately 78 kilometers per year. So, you will see how it expanded throughout the years. Through France, suddenly you see in Galicia in Spain, or north of Portugal, that is what we call a jump by transportation. The same with Hamburg in Germany, it's by transportation. And in the UK, it can be by transportation as well, because last year there were 2 sightings on the ferry between Calais and Dover, and between, I think it was Saint-Malo and Poole or Portsmouth or something like that. So they are coming in by the continent by transportation. Last year in Flanders we had 2 sightings of Vespa orientalis, oriental hornet, that lives here. But there was someone who visited Spain, he came back in Belgium, and he had 1 or 2 Vespa orientalis. So I investigated it, no nest found, I didn't see any other hornets. So it's waiting until now if it was a queen or a worker. If it was a worker, it's not a problem. If it was a queen that came from Spain to Belgium, then it might have been a problem. So this is the situation in September 2024. I don't have it from 25 because the website doesn't work anymore, where they put sightings. So there's a situation in Europe and UK. Brown means that it's eradicated, because it's an island. You see Jersey is so close to France. When I was there in May last year, and there was northeasterly winds, and you stood on the shore, you could see the hornets fly over from France. It only takes 15 minutes for the hornets to fly from France to Jersey. Between France and the UK, it's a little bit further. So I don't think if you have a lot of fly-ins by the continent, or it's all with transportation. How's the situation in Belgium? We had our first hornet in 2011 in Wallonia. You know, Belgium is Flanders and Wallonia. I'm from Flanders, Dutch-speaking part. So we had only 1 drone. Drones fly much further away, so maybe it's with transportation, but at that time in 2011, the closest nest in France was approximately 400 kilometers away. So it can't be that it came from the nest or something like that. Another hornet has been seen in 2014, not within 80 kilometers range, so not a problem, probably a worker, we don't know. Then the first nest was in 2016 in Wallonia, because Wallonia is just a little bit closer to France than Flanders. So the nest was already in reproductive phase. It was later than the 1st of October. And if you see the life cycle in Flanders, the 1st of October is for us the date to say, if we find nest later than the 1st of October, there will be new queens born already. And our first nest in Flanders was in 2017. So that are numbers from Belgium. From 2018, the numbers is only Flanders. Because in 2018, we started with the website vespawatch.be. That's the same as the Asian Hornet WhatsApp. So we had 70 nests already after the reportings came in. But we know there were 30 more nests, because we had sightings on flowers, but there wasn't a nest within 2 kilometers away. because they forage maximum 2 kilometers from the nest. Most of the hornets in a nest like that size, will fly approximately 800 meters maximum. Then the year after, only 17 nests. Bad wasp year. I saw it because I started to deal with wasps as well, and I didn't have that much work than in the other years. But then the numbers go up every year. Why not all the nests are destroyed? Because if they're found later than December, the nests are already empty, so we don't have to put insecticides in it because there's nothing inside anymore. So if you see from the 135 nests, only not everything is destroyed, it's because it's too late in the season. And then our numbers go up and up and up. 2022, why I mentioned October 31st, because then the funding of free or that you don't have to pay for destruction of the nest, it stopped on the 31st of October. But after that day, another 600 reports came in on the website. And that's why you see the year later multiplied with approximately with 5. Then in 2023 in winter, when I'm searching hibernating queens, like those I have over there, you can pick one when you leave. I always search them in winter because then I do a prediction for the season, and I had queens that were only 360 milligrams. I know they are too weak to start a nest if they are only 360 milligrams. It means that they don't have any fat bodies left in winter, and that's because in that winter the temperatures went up, down, up, down, up, down. Everybody says, oh, we need a strong winter to kill them. No, they like a strong winter because they survive much more. But when they go awake and sleep again and awake and sleep, they consume the fat bodies, so they are very weak afterwards. So they can't start a nest anymore. But in 2025, last year, it was the winter was quite steady in Flanders between 24 and 25. And around the 10th of March, we had spring starting, and it was a very good spring. A lot of beekeepers could collect honey 3 times. Normally we do 2 times in Flanders. Because the bees were already flying in March as well. And you see the numbers of nests multiplied with almost 4. So that's the situation, how it is now in Flanders. For this year, in the spring tapping program, we already have, I think, 14,000 queens. Up to now in 7,000 traps already that were registered. So it's difficult to say because March, the day temperatures, we had day temperatures 20-21 degrees, but the night temperatures were low. So it's very difficult for me to tell how the season will evolve this year. Because some of those queens I found in December already 400 milligrams, but in March I had some of them 600 milligrams. So it's very difficult to say if they were emerged early in October, November, or maybe in December. So it's the first year, for me, it's very difficult to predict the season. All the other years I could predict it quite good, but now it's very difficult. Just remember those last day numbers when I come to the UK. So how it started, it's a sort of storytelling. How am I involved with Asian hornets in Belgium? And with that, with my story, you will learn how to deal with the Asian hornets here. So in September, we started with the website. I saw it in the newspaper, and I was a drone pilot. And I emailed them to ask, maybe I can search nests like that with my drone with a heat camera. It doesn't work, because the only thing you can see is this entrance hole, because the rest is isolated quite good. If you see the nest with the shell like that, it's good insulated, isolated? Yeah, insulated. So it's very difficult to find with my heat camera. I found lots of pigeons in the tree, but never found an Asian hornet nest. So that's when I started, and I saw the hornets, and I was immediately in love with them. Yeah? They are so beautiful. When I'm dealing with a nest in a shrub, and I have to cut them, and they are hovering in front of me with the sun on the beautiful orange head and the yellow tips of the legs. They are so beautiful. I want to keep them as a pet. But I do. In insect cages. Yeah? All year around I have hornets in my house. So we started with the website, so people can report the nest. They can report an individual. That's very easy for me to see where I have to search nest. Or now the Springtrap program, it's all by the website. It's founded by Honeybee Valley at the University of Ghent, together with INBO, that's a research institute for nature and forest. The guy who started it is Karel. Now he's a very good friend. I emailed him to say maybe I can search the nest with my drone. So when I took away a nest, I went with my drone and I filmed it. And that nest was destroyed by a guy from Wallonia because we didn't have them in Flanders, so they have to learn us how to deal with the nest. It's with a long telescopic pole, they put poison inside of the nest. So for us in Flanders, to pay for a nest is not that much like in Holland. In Holland, for instance, they always need cherry pickers to take the nests out because they can't put a telescopic pole in insecticide in the nest. And it costs around €600 per nest. Nobody wants to pay for it. That's why the government in Holland, a lot of provinces, stopped paying for destroying nests. So now we don't only have hornets coming in from France, from the south, but also hornets coming out from the north, from Holland. That's a big problem for us, for Flanders. So when people report a hornet that they see, for instance, on ivy, that's what I saw it in October. So then I know I have to put a wing bait station. Oh no, I didn't know the wing bait station in 2018. I tell it later. So I just go to ivy or snowberry in autumn and just look where are they flying. Yeah? So in the same year, I already found 3 nests just by looking on ivy. And yeah, I'm born for luck because this one I wanted to go the day after. I spoke to some volunteers. We went to search the nest, and I wanted to see where I can lift off with my drone. I stepped out of my car, I looked at the trees, oh, there's the nest, I don't have to put my drone out. That's the same when I go to Jersey. Last year when I went in Jersey, I arrived on the island. When I went through customs, 20 minutes later, I found my first nest. 40 minutes later, I found my second nest. I know approximately where to search, but it's only looking. And that's something you have to learn. With looking and monitoring, you can maybe already found some nests. So the nests were destroyed by the fire brigade in the beginning, but the shoots they are using are only for wasps, so they sting through it as well. So then I met Nick, that's another good friend of me. We deal with a lot of nests together now. So, and Nick, Karel and I, we are the founders of the Vespa Watchers. What is it? It's the voluntary group. It's the same like the Jersey Asian Hornet group. I'm a volunteer in Jersey to search nests, and I'm very proud of it. And they like me to come over there. So we did the same in Flanders. And our website, as it is now, you see, this is from, I think it was November last year. 9 Asian hornet queens together in hibernation. I never saw that many together. I often find 1 or 2 or 3 together, sometimes a European and an Asian together in a hibernaculum. Even in the new book of Sarah Bunker, the Asian hornet, how is it called? The Yellow-Legged Asian Hornets Handbook, 2nd edition, there are pictures from me from hibernaculums. So where I found them, you can see it in this book. I recommend it to read. It's very easy to read as well. The second book I recommend, is this one. They sell it at Northern Bee Books as well. It's a very interesting book. I've read it and it's a very good book. It's not about the Vespa velutina, it's more about Vespa similima, but they are sisters. I call they are sisters. They are not sisters genetically, but the same size. Yes, sometimes I have to think too English. Yeah. So then I came in contact with Alistair and John from Jersey, and we learned about how to search nests not on ivy and snowberry, but with wing base stations. So we introduced it in 2020, and Karel, the co-founder of Vespa Watchers, and I went to a location, and within a week we found our first nest with this technique. The same year, with the volunteers in Belgium, in 34 locations where we had sightings of hornets on flowers, not only me, but other people tried it, and we found our first 30 nests with that technique. That was a success that first year we did it like that, in only a couple of months. So everybody has to know how to work with wing base stations. Yeah? Then I met Pete Kennedy from the University of Exeter. We emailed about how to search nests. Pete, I said stand up? No. Pete is over here as well. After contacts with him, we learned about how to search nests with putting a tag on the hornet. So we got a training with a biotracker in Belgium at the University of Ghent. There was a researcher who worked with the same tags on bumblebees. She learned us how to track the nests, and we put a tag on the hornet with first putting on eyes. You see it's COVID in that period. So the result was, sorry Pete, 0 nest found. Because we are not used to that technique. We found the nest, but not with the tag. 2 other people, the mother of Karel was walking around together with the fireman that you saw in the other video. So they were walking around and they saw the nest, and then they put the tag under the nest, because I think we put the hornet too long on ice. She didn't fly anymore. So we had to learn a lot in the beginning. So then we came to some problems, and you will have the same problems in the UK if you don't listen to what I'm saying. That's why I'm saying it's storytelling. The problem for me in France always was people who have a hornet's nest in their garden at 10, 20, 30 meters up in a tree, and the hornets don't disturb them. Wasps, they come when you are sitting on a breakfast in the sun in the morning or something like that, of a barbecue, you have wasps. Yeah? But the hornets don't do that. So they call a pest controller for the nest in their garden, and the pest controller in France said, oh, you have to pay 100, 200, sometimes 300 euros to deal with the nest. So the people said, oh, you don't have to come because they don't bother us, just leave them. But one nest of Asian hornets, that size, but the biggest one I saw was approximately 1 meter, they produce between 500 and 1,000 new queens for the year after. In the beginning in France, they said to us 50 queens per nest. So in the beginning, 2018, 19, we said, okay, 50 queens are born in the nest. How do you call it? Gines? Yeah, 50 gines. I once dealt with a nest on the 1st of November in an ivy bush. It was with putting insecticide through the entrance hole, like here. So they are all dead immediately inside the nest. Nothing can fly away. And I immediately remove it, so there's no insecticide in the environment at that time. So in that nest on the 1st of November, I had 548 queens, gines. I had 1,300 plus workers. I had 600 drones. I had a lot, there were 10 combs. There were 3 or 4 combs full with larvae and pupae. So approximately maybe 100, 200, 300 more gines. So that was a nest, I think more than 1,000 gines. So that's a lot. In the beginning they said as well, only 10% of the guys will survive hibernation. No, we search hibernating queens, and every time when we look at them, 90% of them were still alive February, March. Some were rotten, 10%, but 90% were alive. Fortunately, from those 90%, maybe 1, maybe 2% will be successful in starting a nest. Because there's also queen usurpation. When you have an embryo nest, other queens try to usurp that nest. And Steve Martens came to Flanders 3 years ago, and he told me that when he worked in Asia, that the maximum amount of dead queens under a nest was 30. I even found in a children's playhouse a small nest with 4 dead queens under it. We often find them. So first reports in the Panne in Belgium, there was a report of a hornet on a flower. So I emailed the local beekeepers association to say, yeah, can you ask the beekeepers to search the nest with the big bait stations? And they said to me, oh, but the beekeepers don't see any hornets at the hives. So they didn't start to search the nests. And I said, if you don't search it now, you will have problems next year. So after the contact, the year after, that's the result. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 nests in their neighborhoods. Because if you don't destroy the nest, the year after we had between 5 and 10 new nests. Again, I emailed them to say, maybe you have to search the hornet nest this year. If you don't do it, next year you will have plenty of time to search because you will not have any bees anymore. And last year, as you saw, 25,000 nests, everybody wanted to buy the electrical harps, but they were sold out because everybody suddenly wanted them. So they were sold out, and I know beekeepers who lost 9 out of 10 beehives because of the Asian hornets last year. So now they are in panic. So, and I predict the same here in the UK if you are not prepared to it. Now it's too early already to buy things like that. Maybe there will be new techniques in 3-4 years, but you have to be prepared. First lesson, work together. We often had a beekeeper who saw hornets at his beehives. 300 meters away there's another beekeeper and he doesn't have hornets yet. He doesn't help with searching nests. He didn't help. Yeah. For me that's stupid. Then I say to him, okay, the same thing, maybe you don't see them this year, but if the other beekeeper doesn't find a nest, you will see them next year. So work together. That's a very important lesson. The next date, the second problem, fragmentation. In 2022, as I said, there was a framework contract. All the other years, it was the Flemish government who paid for the destruction of the nests. But because then we already had more and more nests, so it was too expensive to deal with everything, they started with a framework contract. So we have 5 provinces in Flanders, some provinces use that, and other provinces don't use it anymore. So it ended the 31st of October. If you were later than 31st of October to find a nest, you have to pay it by yourself. So, same situation in France. Some people said, okay, leave it in the trees. And that's the reason why the year after you had so much nests. Third problem, as I explained a little bit already, the end of the funding at the end of 2022. So if people have to pay for nests, they don't want it. Where I'm living, western part of Flanders, we don't have to pay for destruction of the nest. Eastern Flanders, people don't have to pay. Antwerp, it depends which town you are living. In some towns you don't have to pay, in other towns the town refunds €50 for destruction of the nest, but if the pest controller charges you 75, okay, you only have to pay 25. There's another province that's divided in two. with the fire brigades, it's for free, and the other fire brigades, they charge you. So it's a lot of fragmentation in Belgium. Next problem, they don't listen to scientists. I've put a lot of scientific reports, but they don't listen. For instance, at Honeybee Valley, they have a student who worked around with protection of beehives against the yellow-legged Asian hornet. So I've bought my first electrical harps, and that year, I think 2022, I didn't have bees in that year. I'm only a beekeeper since 2 years. So I gave it to them to do research with them. So it's the old type of harps, the wet harps with water under it. They have 4 beehives without protection, then 4 beehives with a big cage around it to test. So this was one of the tests they did with electrical harps. So they put 2 news flashes about it, and these were the results. Don't put harps in front in the fly pad of the bees. It's normal. I don't like to put things in front of beehives as well, like the thing under the table over there. Yeah. Sometimes, if the beehives are in a row, they put a lot of plants in front of it so that the hornets can't come too close, but it hinders the, is it correct English? It hinders the bees. Yeah? And then they have to go left and right, and they fly in the harps as well. Next one, they saw that you only need it when your harps are under pressure. Don't use it now. In my talk yesterday, I said I've put them in end of July, begin August. When the second generation and the third generation of hornets that are already bigger, they are capable to pick the bees out of the air. The first generation is too small. And the last, use only the dry harps instead of the older type, the wet harps, because a lot of bees fall in the water and they are drowned as well. Yeah? So, that was newsflash in 23 and 24. Now in the end of, or in the summer of 26, in the beekeeper's brochure, I've read someone who said, it was from February 26, I have a lot of dead bees in my water under my harps. Maybe I should experiment with dry harps next year. But we know it already. That's why my title is Ignore Scientists. And that's typical, I don't know for UK beekeepers, but in Flanders, it's typical for beekeepers. They reinvent the wheel every time. Even if I put every scientific paper, I have, I think 100 scientific papers. Often I tell about the scientific papers because I'm a member of the Colas Vesper Task Force as well, so I have contacts all over Europe, and I often tell about new research, but they don't listen anymore. That's why I'm coming to the UK. I don't stay in Flanders anymore to talk about it. They don't listen. But maybe I'm not a real scientist, I'm a citizen scientist. But I know more than a lot of scientists in Belgium about Asian hornets. So what's the impact on daily life? First of all, people who wanted to harvest the grapes, they were afraid of it. You see this one in the beginning, I used the numbers on it. So they were afraid of it. This one, I had another video as well, she was drunk. She was on the floor, she didn't fly anymore. Yeah, we have good grapes in Belgium. Another impact on daily life, 3 years ago, the guy had to remove all the trees because they wanted to build a house over there. I suppose he saw that hanging, but it was not known. It was in the beginning that they were in Flanders. Maybe he saw something, but he didn't know what it was. He touched it, he was stung 9 times, he came in anaphylactic shock. He went to hospital, he ran out of his crane. Yeah? Digger. Yeah, he ran out of that. And fire brigade has to come because his cell phone was inside, it was still on. So, and then the day after I came, it was very easy to destroy the nest because there was nothing on the ground anymore. So it took me only 25 minutes. Last year, my friend Karel called me, someone at work where he worked, worked. He cut his hedges and he was stung by hornets. Can you come to destroy the nest? So I went over there. Indeed, I saw some hornets flying normally. And I said to Carlo, okay, I go to my car to take my protective suit and things like that. And 40 minutes later, Carlo took this picture from me. I was stung once, here in the head. I had a saturation of 66%. Don't take a picture of that. I had a saturation of 66%. I asked to Carlo to go to my van to take my EpiPen with adrenaline. At the moment he came with me, he gave it to me, I fainted a few seconds and I dropped it on the ground. So I couldn't put it in my leg. 10 minutes later, or a couple of minutes later, I don't know, the ambulance service came and the doctor in the emergency room